Hello, my friends. My name's Sandy, and this video is going to walk us through my Sunflower Embossing 4-page project. I highly recommend you first watch the video I posted earlier today with the sunflower. It just says Sunflower 3D Embossing is the title of the video. There's a lot of different ways that you can color. This video is only going to use blending brushes to do our coloring. But you can sand and rub ink on top and all different things. So um, let's get started. I've already done all the embossing for you for this project. In your kit, if you got one of my kits, and I do have, I believe, 2 kits left, so make sure if you want one, you let me know soon. Um, you've got a picture of the artwork and it says supplies needed, plenty of adhesive, blending brushes, your choice of inks and stamps. And also, I forgot to mention scissors, a lot of cutting. Okay, so what you need out of your kit right now is 5 pieces of yellow that are embossed for you and 2 green out of this kit. And then if you just lift these two 12 by 12 pieces, ta-da, underneath is your other 2-page kit. You just need the, I believe 5, yes, 5 white embossed pieces. That's all we're going to work on first to get started. I started with the white ones and did my purple and blue first, purple and then little blue in the centers. And now I'm going to go through and do green. These two we're cutting out those center flowers. And on this one, we're cutting out this flower and this flower. This one, you want a little green in the corner, but you don't need to do any green beyond that. So just a little bit of green in this corner and then green to fill in the rest of those two. So there's the start of these pages. These 2 flowers and these 2 flowers are going to get cut out. And let's move on to our yellow and greens. And we'll do the prep work for those. And now here again, I've added my orange and then did a brown in the center of the flowers. Now I'm going to go in and do green. I don't need to add green to these 3 because those are all going to get cut out. So I'm just adding green highlights to these 2 pieces. So I'm just going through all the middle pieces there in between each of the flowers and up against the flowers too. It helps highlight the flower when you've got a little bit of green along the edge. So there we go. Isn't it amazing? Like we just made that paper. It's so awesome. All right, so we're going to move on to assembly. Real quick before we do assembly, these 2 green pieces here to get that white highlight, I took a sanding block and just sanded off to reveal the white core, and that makes the leaves pop. So there's a before and after. So you decide if you want to do that, but you will be cutting that pair of leaves on each of these 2 pieces out as well. So as you're cutting out, you can cut these little guys down here out if you want, or I like to just kind of go whoop and do kind of an arch because most of those are going to get tucked underneath something else. So I just cut those frustrating pieces right off as I'm cutting. And you'll notice as I'm cutting these out, my friends, that I'm not being very particular. I'm just moving my paper and making, they don't necessarily stay along the exact line of the leaf. And when you think about a flower, none of them are perfect or the same, and so that's okay. So you're going to cut these 2, and then are those 3 flowers and these 4 flowers out so we can assemble. There is one more piece you're going to need for this, and it looks like it's just scrap paper from the greens where we cut out the leaves. I used this little section of flower right under here to create just a little extra green. You decide if you want to do that or not. It's not a big deal. All right, so this layout is pretty simple to assemble. We're going to start with our 6 by 6 squares and one of the pieces of paper, and all the rest you can set aside. All right, so now for the first layer of assembly, it's just putting those two 6 by 6s 3 inches up, 3 inches down so they run center. Next, you've got four of these pine pieces and four of the, or whatever the colors are. You're going to take those, all four of them, and just pinch and pull to tear off one side of all 8 of those pieces. And then we're going to add the larger ones above and below the sunflowers. And then we're going to take the lighter colored one. Now, on here, let me bring this up close so you can see. On here, I used a stamp set. The stamp set that I used to do all of this is called Month by Month. This was from the album retreat that we just finished up, I believe in July. So if you have this, great. That's the stamp set that I used. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to do any stamping. I'm going to leave the layout very simple and plain so you can see how you can modify it up yourself. But again, Month by Month is the stamp set I used. And from there, this little line piece is what I used to create those little lines. But again, for the sake of the video, I'm not going to add that. So you can see how simple and plain you can make this layout, and it's still absolutely gorgeous. So these, I'm going to go ahead and attach these to each other. We're going to use these on the other page, but at least this way they're assembled and ready for us when we get to that part. And then we're going to need some of the brown pieces. So we need the longer one and then one that holds a 3 by 4. Now, if you are going to stamp, let me just bring that up close so you can see. So this, again, the stamp set's just amazing. We've got this little bunch of like a splash that goes up in here. This leaf I did a few times to create that image. There's some stars, a row of hearts over here. And then same thing down here, splashes and stars and leaves, and another row of hearts there. If you want to do all that, you'll want to at least do these 2 sections before you tape this piece totally down. But again, for the sake of the video, I'm not doing that. These papers, you're going to notice, feel a little bit thicker than others. That's because this is not the two-tone cardstock that I used there. It's the regular or the old Stampin' Up! Paper, just the regular cardstock. I've added the 2 ovals if you're doing stamping. I'm bringing that up close so you can see just some ideas. If you're using your own stamp set, take a look at what you've got and what you wanted to create with and go from there. I want this to go over this way a little bit more. All right. Because I want this one to kind of come overlapping this picture just a little bit. And then I've got this flower. It's going to kind of fill in that space there. And then I'm going to tuck one of the sets of leaves there. And then this is the one that's kind of a flower corner. I just wanted a little bit of green coming out from behind there. And you can use foam tape. This one I used foam tape on the biggest one there. And then these are, oh, let me look up the name of these. They're low profile something. That's it. That's all they're called. Low profile dots. Huh. It's pretty generic. So those you're going to put on the layout wherever you decide you want them to go. This one came apart in my fingers, so I'm not going to use that one. All right, and I'm just going to put, because I'm not doing the stamping on this one, I'm just going to put 2 right down here like that. And then my page is done beyond whatever stamping I want to do. Let's do the other side. So this one started the same way, 3 inches up, 3 inches down for those ones. Then we're going to add these pieces to the top and bottom. I'm lining it up, okay. All right, then we've got the longer of the two remaining pieces that are going to go, this one's going to go right down in here. And you're going to put that tannish colored piece there. And that's for journaling, and that leaves room for a 4x6 picture right there. Then we've got our last photo well for this one is going closer to the edge than the other one did, right? Just a little bit closer. Then we're going to add our circle. And this one I'm going to put over top so that the picture goes on above it, but not the, it's on top of the well, but under the photo. All right. Flower. And again, if you're doing the stamping, get all your stamping done before you start adding all these things to it. Tuck my little leaves under there. Whatever stamping you want to do, I'm going to add just a couple little blings here and there. So I think I'll do 2 right here. And then I've got a couple left. I'll do one there and one up here. And that's it for that set of pages. Fun, easy, gorgeous, right? And let me just bring that up close so you can see, again, another little row of hearts, a cluster up here with that arrow, celebrate, some more splashes, the happy with the arrow. All right, so this one starts the exact same way that the other one did. Only now, instead of ripping that 3x6, those 4 3x6s, I left them flat and stamped along the edge. So let me bring that up close so you can see what I'm talking about there. So I just stamped that stamp there and only tore that green one and put that just above that line. However, I'm not stamping for this video, so I'm going to go ahead and tear all 4 of all of them and do it the same way I did the other page. So you're going to notice the difference, and you just decide which way you want to do it. Both look gorgeous, right? Either way is a good answer. So I am adding this line right up there. Again, you can leave the space or not, totally up to you. I'm going to just put it flush right up there. All right. Now we're going to use our 3x4 well in the longer piece. So this one is going 3/4 of an inch down on the blue, 3/4 of an inch on the blue. And then the 3x4 goes down here. Now, same thing as with the other page. Let me bring this up close so you can see. I've got some leaves stamped there, a couple of little hearts, a row of hearts, and some little sparkle or that cluster. Up here, same thing. We've got some leaves, some clusters, some hearts, a couple hearts here, some clusters there. Here I stamped highlights with a heart, and we already talked about those. So you decide how much or little of that you want to do. All right, we need this piece here where I stamped the word highlights. Again, that fits a 4x6. And we need a flower. We need the smallest flower there and our biggest circle. So the biggest circle kind of hits the corner right here and fills up that middle space. We want this flower to overlap, and then this flower, I don't want it to, I'm making sure I don't put tape where the picture is going to go because I want to still be able to get my picture underneath there. And again, if you're doing the extra little things, add all your stamping now. You've got this piece that if you're coming over or whatever hearts you have in your stash, go ahead and use them. Luckily for me, I already have a couple stamped and cut and ready for me to go. So I can just use these two here to add to this page. Isn't that awesome? It's a really great stamp set, you guys. Oh, I'm going to need more hearts than that, I think. Right, I want one here, one up in here, and stick. Got you. All right, so add your stamping as you want, add your bling as you want, but all the papers are now down for that side. So again, it starts the same way. If you're going to do it this way, make sure you put the whole 3x6 down. If you're going to rip it, go ahead and rip it. Whichever way makes you happy. All right, we've got a 4x6 well that goes up in here framed so that it's even spacing on the left, right, and top in that purple space. The 3x4, we want to come down. You want to evenly space, but you want it to come down onto that green piece because we want to make sure that this one also comes up onto there and it looks kind of evenly spaced top and bottom. Now for our little clusters, we've got this one here. I'm not putting tape at the top so that I can still add my stamping and I can still get my picture underneath there. Now we want this smaller flower to overlap and this flower to butt up to it, kind of filling in that space there. And then this is going to slide underneath both of those. And I need one more of those hearts I have in here. And I'll bring that up close so you can see all of the stamping that I did on this page. This cluster, we've got a row of hearts, some leaves, a purple heart that's closed, a purple heart that's open, and that cluster. This stamp set, you guys, album retreats always have just the best stamp sets. Get this fun cluster down here. I love that little arrow. And again, if you did this part or some kind of stitching in there, that is my 4-page sunflower embossing project. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your comments. Tell me what you think about this embossing folder.